I'd like to introduce Allie Cohen, a college student and member of our WJC congregation. Allie's just completed her freshman year at Johns Hopkins University. She's going to share some thoughts with us this evening about her experience on campus this past year and her recent trip to Israel on Birthright last winter. Please welcome Allie Cohen.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Amy, for inviting me to speak tonight. I've spoken at the Woodbury Jewish Center many times before, and although this time I'm not here to chant a Torah portion, I would like to take this opportunity to share some of my experiences as a college student at Johns Hopkins University. Being Jewish is something that I've always been proud of. I went to Hebrew school twice a week, practiced endlessly for my bat mitzvah, and celebrated all of the Jewish holidays with my family. Having grown up in a home filled with the Yiddishkeit of two conservative Jewish parents, it was more than clear that I was expected to go to a college with a substantial Jewish population. When I began the college search, I focused mainly on academics, but I also knew that I'd need to be able to meet a nice Jewish boy at some point too. I started to wonder what my parents meant by a substantial Jewish population, and was forced to evaluate the role my Judaism played in finding the right college. Making the decision to go to Johns Hopkins was fairly easy, since as a biology major, I'd be part of one of the best science programs in the country. The only thing questionable was that Jews make up only 13% of the student body. I thought that since the Jewish population was on the small side, I'd be sacrificing part of my identity at Hopkins. When I went to the Hillel building, I learned that even though in numbers the Jews were small, as an organization, Hillel had a very active presence on campus. I was reassured that I'd be able to have as much connection to my Judaism as I wanted at Hopkins. A few months later, while I was moving into my dorm, two girls from Hillel came knocking on my door and invited me that night for Shabbat services and a free dinner. How they found me, I have no idea. But these two perfect strangers made me feel welcome right off the bat. In the first few weeks of school, Hillel had so many programs welcoming new students as well as those returning to Hopkins. The Jewish community was very tight-knit, and I felt like I was already becoming a part. Hillel's mission as the foundation for Jewish campus life is to foster an open environment for Jews of all backgrounds to explore and learn about their Jewish identities. When I went away to college, I imagined myself going to Shabbat services occasionally, once a month tops, but as soon as I stepped foot in the Hillel building, I found myself wanting to learn more and more about my heritage and become even more actively involved in Jewish life on campus. Within my first month at school, I had found a home away from home in the Jewish community at Hopkins. That once small statistic of Jewish people on campus turned into my world of friendship, bonding, and life filled with Judaism. I attended a meeting last fall about the Birthright trip my Hillel was planning. Visiting Israel has always been a goal of mine, but the time was never right for me to go. When I heard that there was a free trip during my winter break, I signed myself up right away. My parents have always wanted to take my family to Israel, and my Hebrew school teachers and clergy taught me all about Israel's history and its importance to us as Jews. A week before I was scheduled to leave, the war in Gaza broke out, and the phone was ringing off the hook. Everybody had mixed emotions on whether or not it was safe to travel at the time, and some of my friends pulled out of the trip at the last minute. Even though I was nervous, I was going to Israel, and there was nothing anybody could say to stop me. I drove to Newark in a snowstorm, and by midnight I was on my way to Eretz Yisrael. The woman sitting next to me on the plane didn't speak a word of English, and the men across the aisle in Payas got up twice to pray during the flight. I was entering a land with customs so different than my own, but from the second I stepped off the plane, I felt an immediate connection with Israel. All I heard was the language of my people. All I ate was the food of my people. These were my people, and Israel was my home. In the 10 days that followed, I experienced something so unforgettable and so life-changing that without the funds and support of organizations like the UJA Federation would not have been possible. It is one thing to read about Masada in a textbook, and another to imagine what it's like to float in the Dead Sea, but it's something completely different to visit these sites firsthand. On my Birthright trip, everything I had ever learned about Israel and the Jewish people came to life. For 5 days, I spent time with Israeli soldiers who were only a year or two older than me, learning about life as a young Israeli adult. I learned about Israel's history as a country as I walked through the Independence Hall in Tel Aviv, and I heard people speak about their experiences as Jews today. Some of the most indelible memories I have from my trip to Israel were the Old City of Jerusalem. We started the day at the Has Promenade, overlooking the Old City, where we said Shechechiyanu, blessing us as we went into the city, and then we danced the Hora, and a wave of camaraderie took over the group. We walked along the walls of the Jewish quarter, and as we reached the hotel, I could tell that something magical was about to happen. It's hard to explain my thoughts as I waited for my turn, and I felt my smile and laughter turning into somber tears. I reflected on the history of the Jewish people and realized that many of our ancestors were never able to step foot in their homeland. At that moment, it hit me that I was in Israel, a place that my people have fought for thousands of years. I was at the precise location where my ancestors wept, and in a few moments, I'd be inserting my notes into the cracks of the Wailing Wall. Everything that I saw and heard on my Birthright trip has transformed my perception and concerns for Israel, and I have since gained a tremendous understanding of the importance of keeping Judaism a main part of my life. This year, I've become a leader in the Hillel community, running services on Friday nights and being an active member of many Jewish groups on campus. I've become more spiritually and religiously involved, and I was elected to be on the Jewish Students Association board for the upcoming school year. Without the contributions of UJA to Hillel and Birthright, I would not have the experiences I've had as a freshman in college, a Jewish freshman in college. Countless young Jewish adults have had similar experiences to mine and have been able to learn about and embrace their Jewish identities due to all of the efforts of the UJA Federation. With the myriad programs and events sponsored by the UJA and other Jewish organizations, college students like myself have been able to truly understand what it means to be a Jew in 2009 and have gained newfound appreciations of their heritage. The opportunity to become closer to our Jewish identities after going on trips like Birthright is priceless, and I'd like to thank each and every donor for making that experience possible for me and for others. Thank you.